Welcome, Quinta. Take a seat. And we have...
Thank you, guys.
Executive producer.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
And director, Randall Einhorn. Woo! Welcome to the stage.
Woo! Woo!
And executive producer and writer, Patrick Schumacker. Come on up.
Thank you. I love you too. Thanks for...
Some huge fans in the house. I love it. All right, so before we get into the talk, let's take a look.
That is incredible, Miss Howard. Can't wait to get on that level. Where is your class, by the way?
Out in the hallway in a single file.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Miss Howard, you remind me so much of my favorite teacher from the 3rd grade, Miss Elliott. She was well-dressed, good with kids, a wizard with a glue gun.
Thank you, Janine. That is very kind
Yeah,
of you.
I wanted to be just like her, actually. I was, like, obsessed with her. She wrote my report card note, needs friends her own age, a bit clingy. She was a hoot. Anyway, hey, did you get my email about the two of us hanging together after school, or?
No, it must have gone to spam.
It's so crazy how my emails do that with you and nobody else.
Ah, class, turn around.
Bye, Mom. I'm sorry, Miss Howard. Bye, Miss Howard.
I just love that. That was Cheryl Lee, I almost said Howard. Cheryl Lee Ralph as Miss Howard.
Yes, the fantastic Cheryl Lee Ralph.
So I love the fact that you call her mum, because as we were chatting backstage, we were talking a little bit about how this was inspired by your mum's experiences. So obviously this is a story that's close to your heart. How did you think about structuring something so personal in a comedic way?
Yeah, well, when I begin to start to put a story together, it usually starts from a pretty personal place, but I have the most fun with venturing into fiction. I don't want it to be exactly like my life, but I want to be able to take the things I've learned and that I value and put them into fictional characters. So Cheryl Lee Ralph is actually kind of an iteration of my mother. I think the best parts, my mom was a kindergarten teacher who taught at a school like Abbott. So it's, you know, Abbott is based on the elementary school I went to. My mom actually was my kindergarten teacher. So, you know, Janine is not like me. She's like a dweeb. I'm not a dweeb. But we decided to make this character who longed for a mother-daughter relationship that was actually more similar to the one I have in real life. So through, you know, my personal experiences, we got to build this world of characters, of wonderful characters.
And you had the mockumentary idea in the beginning, right?
Yes.
But then in came Randall, who helped to actually develop the mockumentary style of The Office and Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit, Randall, about how you put that into play here in Abbott Elementary and why you knew it would really work.
Well, I think the reason it really works is that I think what we're trying to do is we're hiding. The mockumentary allows us to push the comedy, I think, into a little zanier place at times, or a little more heightened place at times, because it's got this veneer of authenticity to it. And although everybody in the scenes are playing them absolutely truthful, we're adding that element of authenticity because it looks like it's something that the viewer is privileged to be getting.
And Patrick, you had obviously collaborated with Quinta before, and so had Randall. Tell us a little bit about what you saw in Quinta and how that kind of came together with this show.
So my writing producing partner, Justin Halpern, and I did a Dead CW pilot 4 years ago. It was a sci-fi comedy about a space cop who pairs up with a couple of Valley girls. Quinta played one of them to hunt down a bunch of errant aliens in Van Nuys. And
it sounds
Quinta
amazing.
walks in. I mean, it was, well, it's dead. But Quinta walked in, and like Justin and I were like, and we did it with Rob Thomas of Veronica Mars iZombie fame. And Quinta walked in, Justin and I had never seen her before in our lives, and we're so blown away at just how natural she was. And we were like, this is it. And our casting director was like, well, I mean, she's fantastic. She's Quinta Brunson. And Justin and I were like, who? And then, you know, we talked to people who were sub 30 years old, and they were like, yeah, Quinta, she's amazing. Yes. Your reputation precedes you. And you know, it was just, I mean, Quinta has been, I think it's fair to say, a lifelong student of comedy. And she has an encyclopedic knowledge of everything and everyone who came before her, and respects it on an incredible level. And I have never seen someone, you know, have that deep knowledge and such veneration for her forebears. And she has taken that and built on that, and she is now the person you see before you. A contender!
We are contenders.
So talk a little bit about some of the aspects of this that really made you feel you wanted to bring it to a network. Because we were talking a little bit about how there's this kind of collective opinion that network TV comedy has kind of gone downhill, and there's not a younger space within it anymore, and you've proven that's not the case.
Yes.
With this show.
Yes, and I have a two-part answer. I think that first of all, isn't true. I think there's some wonderful network television comedies on right now, and there have been. I think Ghost is really good on CBS.
Oh, we had them on here yesterday.
I'm a fan of that show. I enjoy watching it. There was a show on Fox called Pivoting. There was I have to give credit to Blackish. Blackish is now in their eighth. That's big. That's not easy to do on network TV.
So why do you think people have this kind of opinion about it?
I think it's because all of the younger creators, I think, went over to streaming. Because all the shows I just mentioned, they have people who are not millennials, and they're created by people from the generation before us. And I think that millennials were having a hard time breaking into the network space because our stories were a little bit more nuanced. And people like me who came before me, like Issa had a project at ABC, didn't work there. She went to HBO and made a monster hit. And then, but that allowed network to see the value in, you know, a younger story, a story like Abbott, especially one that has a primarily Black cast, like, but it's not about being Black, if that makes sense. It's about you guys, so I don't have to. So all of that to say, I think that Abbott represents what happens when you have people who love comedy, who care very much. Randall came on as a director, but he loved the show so much he became an EP, and we were very fortunate to have someone who understood and respected the mockumentary style so much come to our show. And then you have me and my room of writers, which is diverse not for diversity's sake, but these are the people I came up with, and we have new stories to bring to network TV. And I love network television. It's TV for everybody. It's TV for someone who cannot afford Netflix, who can't afford HBO. And it's TV for people in prison who all they have is network television. They can't. I'm dead up. Do you know how many cousins, like, I'm telling a lot, call me from prison and they're like, yo, the episode was fire. And I'm like, thank you. I'm so serious. And so I think that's the beauty of network TV, is it's for everybody. And I don't think we shouldn't be in those spaces just because streaming is cooler.
It's also nice when a show that has a message in it can reach such a broad audience.
Yeah.
So you first brought the show to these guys as a cartoon.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that initial pitch. What was it? What was the shape of it? How did you do it?
So we were, let me think of the timeline. So
3 years
ago?
I think it was 3. It was pre-pandemic, so like 17 years ago.
It was way pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
And so Justin and Pat, Justin who's not here, and Pat, they have a show called Harley Quinn right now on HBO Max. And so they were in animation. We ran into each other on the lot. I had just been inspired by visiting my mother, and I had this show idea. But at the time, I was working on a show with Larry Wilmore and Jermaine Fowler for CBS. But I had this idea. I knew that these guys, like, I liked them a lot from working with them. And I was like, well, maybe I have this idea. Maybe it can be a cartoon. I thought a mockumentary cartoon would be really cool. And so I brought it to you guys like that.
Yeah.
But then 3 years later,
yeah, I mean, like it was just like a function of schedule too.
Yeah,
like, she was busy, so she's like, here's an idea where, you know, if this thing moves forward, I can participate as, you know, a voice on it, which is less of a time commitment. So it was like it came down to scheduling. Yeah. So scheduling ended up helping us, because then I ran into you in the lot randomly like 2 years later or a year later, and I was like,
no, it was right before the pandemic. It was 2020, because it was right before everything shut down. Because I remember I was afraid to take an Uber.
Yes.
Because I was afraid of COVID.
Yes.
But we didn't know what COVID was yet. All we knew was some super thing was happening.
Yeah.
And and then you were like, hey, we actually we want to do something.
We want to do a network show.
Yep. And I was
Have
like,
you ever thought about doing Abbott,
Yep.
or what, you know, was then called Harrity Elementary, because
Yeah.
that was your school in
Yeah.
Philly. And have you ever thought about doing it as a live action? And you were like, actually, I have. And and that was like, well, done.
Wow. Well, it's worked out pretty well, because according to Twitter, Abbott Elementary is the #1 most tweeted show of the year to date.
Tweeted comedy.
Comedy.
We're no euphoria.
Comedy.
Our students keep their clothes on for now.
Pardon me. Comedy. For now, yes. You never know. How does it feel to have reached that many people? And I do wonder if teachers who don't necessarily feel seen have contacted you and thanked you for making this show.
Yeah, well, it feels wonderful and humbling. I know people say that all the time, but it's a humbling experience to feel deeply that you're making something good. And all of us had this weird feeling, like, we feel like we're making a good show, right? Like, I'm not tripping, this is kind of good. And then for it to then go out to the world, and the world feels the same way on a massive scale, it's so humbling, and it reminds you why you do this job. You know, you spend a lot of time maybe doing things you don't love or don't think are that good, and it can like weigh on you, but we all loved Abbott, and we're happy that people love it too. And then as far as teachers, what was really nice is the first time we premiered, are there teachers here? Hi. Thank you for being the inspiration for our show. What's really nice is when we first premiered the show, we premiered it to a group of teachers from the LA school district on the Disney lot. And those were the first people to see the show. And it was like 200 teachers. And, you know, it was nice of Warner Brothers and Disney to not be like, let's invite a bunch of influencers. We wanted teachers to see the show. And that could have been life or death. Like, if after that premiere, those teachers came up to me and was like, yeah, no, I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah, I was sweating it.
I was sweating bullets.
Well, I think
They would
it's
have
good,
immediately been thrown off of the Disney lot.
We
We would have made sure of it.
I don't know what I would have done. I would have drank myself to, I don't know. But they came up and they were so, they were so moved. They hadn't seen anything like Abbott before for them. Yes, there have been teacher shows, but our first 2 episodes they do touch on a lot that teachers go through in schools like Abbott and in school districts like the Philadelphia School District. And they love it when they reach out to me on, you know, social media and stuff, or on the street. Honestly, when I'm stopped on the street, I'm always on the verge of tears, because that's just so personal. And then there's the other side of teachers that say they have PTSD and they can't watch it, and we respect that too, because it's not an easy job. So it's not, you know, some people are like, yeah, it's a little too real, and we get that. So yeah.
Hopefully your mum approves of the show.
My mom is the person you make TV for. and it was important to me that she liked it because, you know, probably writers in the room, you know, when you write something, you're like, I'm just gonna get them, they're gonna laugh. My mom is the person that goes, like, she so enjoys watching a sitcom, and so the fact that she likes it, and not even just because of me, like, she told me straight up her favorite character is Jacob, and I was like, that's rude, but she really enjoys it, so yeah.
That's really good. For all of you, what is a scene or an aspect of the show which makes you the most proud, or that was the hardest to pull off, that you feel a great sense of achievement for?
36. 5.
Don't look at the time.
I'll go real fast. I was proud of, we have a storyline for one of our characters, Jacob, and I was proud of our ability to introduce Jacob as a gay man without doing a coming out story. I was very proud of that. It's one of those things that I do think is representative of my generation. Like, a lot of us, our friends and the people in our lives are just queer. It's not like a big deal. I was proud of our ability to do that, especially on ABC, especially given the conversation in the nation around, you know, I don't even want to say it, but it's just like, I was proud of that. I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
Well picked.
I got one. All right. This was when there's the power outage. I just want to elevate Janelle James for a second.
Yes.
So, yeah. So Janelle's, as you know, amazing. But she comes in, I was like, you know, my favorite thing about you, Janelle, is that you're amazing, but you don't know that you're amazing yet. She's like, oh, I will. But when she, you know, she had acted a little bit before, but, you know, mostly stand-up, writing, that kind of thing. And by, like, episode 3, Lightbulb? Yeah. So, aired 2, but we shot at 3. And it's the talking head in her office when she's got the duct tape and she's talking about Train to Busan with the fast-ass zombies. And then she, like, affects the sort of, like, Rasta, like, patois. And she says, that day soon come. And I was like, this woman is a genius. Yep. I cannot wait for people to see her.
Yeah. And if I could go off of that a little bit, what's fun about Janelle, you know, the rest of us on the cast had all been on some form of TV show before. This was Janelle's first. Yeah. So he's not being facetious when he says that. Janelle really was she didn't know. We're watching her in editing like she doesn't even know what's about to happen to her.
Yeah.
She doesn't know, you know, and she just, so we're like watching her get her superpowers like Spider-Man in real time.
Yes.
Like she's like, I got what?
It was her origin story.
She's like,
yes.
It's so cool.
But to answer your question about what was the hardest was, we watched that scene and she was so good in it, and we were like, let's move on. And then our script supervisor came up to us and he's like, there's a power outage, dude. This scene's lit. And we were like, oh shit, we gotta redo it.
Yeah, I'm so glad we went back and redid it. It got even funnier.
It's so good we had forgotten continuity. So, yeah.
Well, thank you all so much. Congratulations on Abbott Elementary. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if I can, thank you guys for watching the show. We really appreciate it. No, you guys, thank you. Thank you, guys.